Thank you for joining the Visionary Women podcast series. My name is Tracy Cook, and we have a very enlightening conversation with a woman who's not just a leader in her field, but she is a game changer. She is blazing new trails and creating opportunities for others to follow. She is a visionary woman. Melissa Stonard is coming to us today because I want you to grasp onto everything she's going to share, because you won't want to miss the valuable insights and wisdom that she is about to share with you. Melissa, what makes you a visionary woman, and how did you evolve into that?
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Tracy. So I began healing when I was 19. So that was 25 years ago now. And it's always been something that I've been really interested in. So I started off doing Reiki, and I just love to help people. So that's where I started. Things evolved for me. So just stepping back, I've been a type 1 diabetic since I was 4. So for those of you that don't understand, type 1 diabetes is where the pancreas stops working completely. So that usually happens in early childhood. And the medical world still really have no idea as to why this happens, why the body starts to attack itself. So it's quite a complicated disease, and it's an invisible disease. So people, don't really know that you have it. And there's lots of anxieties that come with that, and it makes life tough growing up. I understand that. I've been a child and I've grown up with it. My grandmother also had it, so we have it in the family. And then, to my devastation, my 7-year-old son was also diagnosed with it, and that's when things really changed for me, because I think everybody understands, as a mum, you just want to do everything you can for your child. So I started to experiment with different types of healing. And at the beginning of last year, I channeled a new therapy called Etheric Regeneration and Bioresonance. So that is similar to, if anybody knows about a bioresonance machine, it's an actual machine that you can sit with, and the machine will read your frequencies, and it will then insert the correct frequencies within your body to bring you up to the right level. These machines are very expensive. A medical grade machine costs £25,000. So I thought, actually, I was guided to bring this therapy through for myself. So I used this without the machine, and to work with the frequencies. And the difference of my therapy to using the machine is that I have intention behind it. And we all know that when you have intention, that is really what is most powerful. So I started to get very excited about this therapy, and I began to use it on myself, and I experimented on my son. And it's the first therapy that I've ever seen that brings our blood sugar levels into alignment. I think now we're starting to realize, or the doctors are starting to realize, that emotions play a huge part of keeping your blood sugar levels in control. So if you have anxiety, worry, and stress, I mean, that can affect all of us. And actually, I think, we run typically at a low level of stress all the time. And because our bodies are so used to it, we don't even notice. So I really started to work on the emotions with the frequency, the ERB therapy that I brought through. And if you look at emotions like shame and guilt, these vibrate at a really, really low level. And what we want to do is take out all of those emotions and put in the really beautiful ones. So like the joy, the peace, those ones that vibrate at the highest level they can. And that's what my therapy does. So I've seen amazing results with the diabetes. I understand diabetes very well. We have it in our family. I understand what it's like to be a parent of a diabetic, and I understand what it's like to be a diabetic myself. So really an expert in that. And what I've done is I've put together some programs specifically for diabetics, for type 1s, type 2s, and for parents and children with type 1, just as a support group, really, and to do healing sessions and meditations and see for yourself what happens with the blood sugar levels. Because I've had it now 42 years. I've never been in such good control. And it's so important, because those spikes in your blood sugars can cause awful ailments within you, kidney failure, you can lose your sight. It's really quite awful, the effects of those spiking blood sugars. So I'm really excited, really looking forward to that. But I also work with lots of people with lots of ailments, and I've seen great results from all of those as well. So working with people with ADHD, working with people that have severe anxiety, even working with people at the end of life. So I work for a charity with people that have terminal illness, and just seeing the difference in them, just, not being so scared to move into death. There's so many avenues to this beautiful therapy.
I think it's just such a wonderful space. And I love the way that you are educating as well. Not only is a medical condition, but associating that, especially as a child growing up and all those stresses that we come across and all those obstacles and the changes in our bodies and the hormones and things like that. This is the world is changing rapidly. And, going from adolescence to teenager to young adult to adult, living with diabetes and having all these emotions to go with it as well. I think it's just such a huge gap that you've recognized and you're bringing to light for people to have those conversations. And everything is energy, everything is frequency. So
Absolutely.
to recognize that element to our health and our mental well-being as well, that affects family dynamics, that affects communities, it affects the way we live, work, and play. I think the way you explained it then, Melissa, was just so clarified for people trying to understand what it actually means. I think that the way that you're serving people and adding the solutions with your support groups, with your coaching, with the way that you're leading the way as a visionary woman, Melissa, will only attract more people and help change and save more lives around that area as well. And everything is energy. Everything is frequency. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
That's how we evolve, right? Well, that's how we evolve. That's how we next level. That's how we communicate as humans on just such a basic level. And we were talking pre-show about people who walk around just on autopilot. They drive to work and they don't know how they got there because it's just so automated. And when we recognize and we're awake and we have that awareness, I think this is where you help so many people, it just as a visionary leader. And what kind of changes do you see in people's lives once they realize that everything is energy and frequencies, and you explain to them the education around that?
The changes are just unbelievable. I've seen people with severe anxiety not wanting to leave the house and being able to leave the house after many, many years. And that's just so liberating, obviously, for them and for me. Going back to the diabetes, I was often made to feel like a failure by the medical professionals, that I hadn't reached the numbers, my blood sugar levels weren't good enough. And I see that children still feel that way. And yes, diet is a big part of diabetes, but actually the biggest part of it is the emotions and keeping those controlled. So to feel like a failure for not being able to control your emotions is so sad, because we're emotional beings, we're spiritual beings, it's part of us. And it almost feels like being punished for that. And I'm on various diabetic forums, and I see the children and how they're suffering, and I just don't want that to repeat itself. And the medical profession do the best they can. There's not enough people to help, and they're really only looking at the medical side of things. But what we really need help with, and this is across the board with many, many illnesses, and not just illnesses, everyday life, people just need support. They just need people to help them to live this life, stress-free, so we can live free from illness.
And that's what you are so wonderful as a visionary leader. What kind of message would you like to leave the audience on today? Because we will be sharing how people can actually connect with you. So have a look around at the link so you know where to connect with Melissa. And she's got an offer for you as well. But what kind of message would you like to leave our audience on today?
I just think it's so important to not suffer in silence, just to be able to discuss how you're feeling. And once you bring that to the forefront, then to be able to use energy to release that. I teach my ERB workshop, and it's so empowering to see people to take their own health and their loved ones' health into their own hands. So that's what I would advocate. I would love people to learn to do this themselves in my one-day workshop. And if you click on the link, I'm actually offering a freebie. So anybody that's watching this, if you'd like to jump on a Zoom for 5 minutes, we'll just do like an anti-distress, anxiety, worry, and you will notice so much how you feel so different without that heaviness around you. And it's just that awareness of waking up to that and feeling that and knowing how you should feel.
What an absolute wonderful offer. Thank you very much for having another enlightening conversation as a visionary woman. You're a leader in your field. You're a game changer. And we'll see you on the next episode.